Hello, everyone. This is Kerwin, and welcome to another episode of What's Happening Travel with Cushrow and Kerwin. Cushrow is not here today. I don't even know what episode this is, but it's been a little while. So much have happened in the airline industry, but today I thought I'd come on and talk about Southwest Airlines because they're the biggest thing that's happening in the uh, news today. So, the biggest news that happened today I'm just going to jump right into it. The biggest news that's happened today is that Southwest Airlines, the you probably I probably want to call them I don't know, the godmother of travel. I don't know if you can call them. I just made that up. Uh, but they've said they're going to charge for bags. Now, this is like the holy grail with Southwest, but it's something I've been saying for a long time, that Southwest is losing money. And they've had a lot of turmoil over the last few months. And this was inevitable. Everyone is like, oh my God, I can't believe they're charging. Well, they are. And sad thing in the airline industry, we don't have much control over what the airlines do. They do it. If you don't want to fly them, you don't fly them. Um, but most people ends up flying them anyway because we are such creatures of habits. And if you live in a particular area, like let's say Houston, for example, Houston has two airports. There's Houston Hobby, which is in the south, and Houston Intercontinental, which is in the north. If you live in the north, you are not trekking 21 miles down the city to go to the next airport. When there's an airport right by next to you, like within 5 miles, you're not going to do that. But some airlines have only flown out of the southern airport. One thing you have to realize that airlines are going to make changes, and if you don't like them, you don't fly them. Yeah, because you can always vote with your dollars. I'm all for voting with my dollars. If I don't like your policies, I'm not going to spend my money with you. I already have an airline that I did that with, and I haven't flown them much since I decided I'm going to give my business to another airline. Every airline has a flaw. None is perfect. So you just need to decide which one works for you. So back to the whole Southwest thing. Now, normally when you fly Southwest today, they will give you bags for free. It's a thing that they had, and it's a thing that they promote. We'll never charge you for bags. Bags are always free. Well, effective in a few months, that will not be the case. If you buy a ticket today for travel in the future, you're good up until that effective booking date. But after that booking date, you're gonna have to pay for your bags. They haven't even put details or said anything yet. But when airlines announce things, and I'm gonna share my screen. Uh, when airlines announces things, it's very funny how they word things. You have a lot of very skilled people in the airline industry. People think that airline people are dumb. They're not. They know exactly what they're doing. So this is what they say. Southwest Airlines outlines changes to drive revenue growth and reward its most loyal customers. Whenever you see this, it's bad news. So now, one thing we have to remember is airlines, like I said, they're extremely smart, and it's our fault because we give them all the data. They know how many people live in a particular city. They know where we go. They know when we go. They know how many children we have, how many adults we have, how many older people we have, because we give them data. Every time we fly, they ask you the questions and we answer them. Like they'll ask you if you're a senior. Well, it doesn't matter these days because none of the airlines have what used to be called senior fares because the fares are too low in some markets that they don't offer them. Same thing with childcare. They don't really have childcare, but if you're under two, um, the child can travel in your lap. You do have to tell them that you have a child that you're traveling with that's under two, because when they sit you, you're sitting in your parents' lap. And if they're sitting in the parents' lap, they have to sit in a row that has a an extra oxygen tank, oxygen thing that comes down over you. So you got to tell them you have a kid. Can't just show up at the airport and go, "Well, I have a kid." You should have told them. You need to tell them because if sometimes if you sit in flights, you see the flight attendants will come by and they will ask someone to move to a different seat, or they'll move people around. And it's because sometimes people don't really tell them that they have children. Now, once a child is over two, you have to pay a smaller fare for the child. Um, but, or if they're traveling, even if you have a lap child, which is a child in your lap, you still have to pay taxes when you're traveling internationally. So you have to give them this data, but then they use this data to figure out who's traveling, when people are traveling, where they're going, and all that. So they can tell that I live in Beaumont because they have the data. When you buy the ticket, you get them all information for your credit card. So they know I live in Beaumont, but I drive from Beaumont to Houston Hobby to get on my flight. I don't go to Intercontinental. I went to Hobby. And so Beaumont is a city in Texas here, about maybe 40 minutes out of town, I think, or something like that. But they have all this data. And so whenever they come up with these great ideas, it's because they have the data. Now, Southwest knows X number of people flies them, and they carry so many bags. Now, the more bag you carry, the more weight you have in the airplane, the more fuel you burn, so the more it costs you. Well, they've been giving away the farm for years. They've been giving you two free bags. And Southwest is not cheap. We're gonna look at some fares and you see what I mean when I say Southwest is not cheap. But uh they've started to now they're gonna do bags. So that just gives you an idea of what the airline does when it comes to using the data that we give them to make decisions. And it's a business, right? And it makes sense what they do. So here's what they say. Southwest is evolving rapidly. Yes, they are. Earlier, I think earlier this year they had a little tiff with some shareholders, and now some of those shareholders are on the board. So now they're driving what the airline does. They've laid off a bunch of people, and Southwest had never done that, and I think also lost money, which has never really happened to Southwest before. They've all been the darling of the industry. And so now they have to figure, well, in order for us to stay in business, we have to remain competitive. Now, their edge was two bags free, and they touted that forever. They also touted their boarding process where they don't give boarding passes out. You have a boarding pass, but it doesn't have a seat number, so they don't give seat assignment. You have to stand in these ridiculous groups. And when they first started, some of you might be too young to know this, but um, you used to have to, this is before online check-in, people have to like get up 12 hours before your flight or 24 hours before your flight and you check in at that point because that's how the system would decide who gets whatever seats. Now it's a little different. They have a system in place that are better. But it was quite comical what people used to do just so they could not sit in a middle seat. Now, when you fly Southwest, if you're in like, C60 or whatever it is way down there, there's A, B, and C. And if you're way down in the groups, you're walking on the plane and there's a middle seat waiting for you. And the funny thing is that people are funny on Southwest. They don't look at you because nobody wants you to sit next to them. And so you're walking down. So normally I walk in and I'll walk through the entire plane because I'm always at the back. I walk through the entire plane. And sometimes people don't sit at the back of the plane. So when you get to the back of the plane, they're normally open seats. That's not a middle. But oftentimes it's only that. But when you walk through, you basically look at everyone and see who you like to sit next to. And then you sit next to that person. Oftentimes, if two people are traveling together and you can recognize that they're traveling together, but they want the middle seat open, if you choose that middle seat, they'll move over because they want to sit next to their loved one. But you have to figure out who that is. So it's a crapshoot. So they came up with the seat thing, and now I think in a few months, or maybe next year, they're going to do the seat thing. So now you're going to get seat assignments. Now, what they're saying here is we they're implementing new initiatives to support business objectives and create choice for current and future customers of America's largest domestic carrier. Whatever that thing is. Initiatives announced today will reward the airline's most loyal customers and give all customers options for a broader range of travel experiences. I guarantee it took them forever to write that introductory sentence, and they changed it 10,000 times before it came out. We have tremendous opportunity to meet current and future customer needs, attract new customer segments we don't compete for today, and return to the levels of profitability that both we and our shareholders expect. Shareholder, that's the important part in there, right? Bob Jordan, President, Chief Executive Officer, and Vice Chairman of the Board of Directors at Southwest Airlines. Now, the airlines always get me, right? Because you have one guy and he's president and he's CEO and he's vice chairman of the board. Seriously, you can't really have somebody else be the president? But don't get me started about that. A lot of the airlines do that. So we will do all this while remaining focused on what's made us strong, our people and the authentic, friendly, and award-winning customer service only they can provide. But you just fired a whole bunch of them. So the initiatives announced today include the following. Southwest will continue to offer two free check bags to Rapid Rewards. And Rapid Rewards is the name of their frequent flyer program. And so if you are A-listers in the Rapid Rewards programs, you're good. If you're buying a business select seat, you're good. That's their expensive, quote unquote, first class. And you'll get one free bag to A-list members and other select customers. So they're cherry picking who it is. And the system will do that, right? If you have a Southwest credit card, you'll get one check bag for free. And customers who do not qualify for these bag options will be charged for their first and second bag. Weight and size limitation apply. Changes will apply for anything booked on or after May 28, 2025. So if you're doing summer travel and you're buying late, you're going to have to pay for a bag. Almost all the US airlines now charges for a bag. I think they all do charge for a bag anyway. It's like 35 bucks or 25 bucks. It used to be 25, now it's 35. So I guarantee you what Southwest did, they looked at the numbers and they said, well, we need to reward the customers that are actually a part of our family, quote unquote, the loyal customers. And all the airlines do this. If you have a credit card with them, you don't pay for the bags, right? And this is usually why I say, although airline loyalty is not what it used to be, but if you're loyal enough, then they do reward you for things. Because some airlines, if you don't have the credit card, if you're like in a platinum or gold or whatever their upper statuses are, they will give you free bags, and you get priority check-ins and things like that. So it does pay to be loyal. The people that are complaining about this are the ones who are not loyal. But they're loyal, but they don't join the rewards program. Don't understand that, but that's what happens. A lot of people do that. They just fly the airline and they don't join the programs. You should join the programs, and this should be one reason for you to do so. The carrier recently adjusted a number of reward points customers can earn on qualifying flights. Southwest have something called Wanna Getaway fares and Wanna Getaway Plus fares. Um, they reduced the number of points that you used to get. Now, my thing with airlines is, and American Airlines does this to me all the time. So I flew Fiji Airways. Fiji Air is a part of American, but the fare I bought was a really cheap fare in Fiji Airways, and that particular fare does not qualify for points in American. But they're a partner. And the annoying thing was that when I bought the fare in Fiji, there was nothing to tell me what they call the fare class was that I was booking in. And so I couldn't even know that until I bought the ticket. And even after I bought the ticket, it didn't really tell me what class I booked it in. And so I went to Fiji. I got no miles for that. It was like a 10-hour flight coming back because I did Melbourne to Nandi and Nandi to um, where did I go? Nandi to Los Angeles, and nothing. But so what Southwest did, they said, hey, we're giving away too much points for the cheap fares. So we're going to cut it. And they did that just maybe a week or two ago. So they cut that. So they're really cutting a whole bunch of stuff that customer. And the thing is that airlines are pretty strategic, and most people are like that. If I'm going to cut something from you, I'm never going to tell you, here's a long list of stuff you no longer get. You know, a month ago, I'm going to say, hey, you're not going to get this anymore. 2 weeks later, I'm going to be, you're not getting this anymore. And that's kind of what Southwest is doing, right? Because they've been cutting stuff for what, maybe a few months now. Every time they keep announcing something, and I've been like, yeah, they're going to do the bags. Because that was the only thing that was left. And it made no sense that they are not charging for bags when everybody else is, because they're losing money. I mean, at $35 a bag, and now, I mean, they used to give away two of those. And of course, you could take advantage of it. I mean, I didn't fly Southwest, but if I did, I would take advantage of it. And so these strategic moves aim to deepen reward loyalty between Southwest and its most engaged customers, create new opportunities to reach consumers and who value fair and above everything else. Now, when they get your data, so you join a Rapid Rewards program, you get your free bag. And actually, you probably need to do a little more than just joining the program because you have to be an A-list preferred member, customer travel and business select. So you got to spend a little money with them. And one free bag to A-list members and other select customers. So, and Southwest will credit one check bag for Rapid Rewards credit card members, customers who do not qualify for these. So, just joining the program is not going to get you anywhere. You need to pretty much join the program and get the credit card, or fly business select, or be an A-lister. That's a top tier thingy. Um, and so you have to spend some money with them, right? So these strategic moves aim to deepen blah blah blah. Blah. Southwest continues to widen its distribution channel to reach new customers. So um, this is another one of the things that Southwest did. Southwest, you were never able to book Southwest Airlines on any place else. It was just on Southwest. Well, they changed a policy, and now, well, not a policy, but they're changing distribution now. Uh, What is airline distribution? That's probably a good place to explain this. When you go, and let me just stop sharing for a sec. It's probably easier. Okay. So when you go to an airline and you book a fare, um, let's say you go to Expedia or you go to Travelocity or Cheap Tickets or Kiwi or one of those, Orbitz, etc. Those airlines get a fee, a commission because they brought the customer to you. Similarly, when you go to Google and you book a flight and you book the flight in Google, Google doesn't get a commission, but they get it's like a finder's fee in essence because they sent the customer to Southwest and there's ways of tracking that. Google used to do the booking thing, but I think they've stopped it. Um, but they get a fee. And a lot of people use Google Flights. Heck, I'm going to show you how to do something in Google Flights in a sec. But a lot of people use that, so then they get a fee for it. This costs the airlines money. So what the airlines would try to do is to reduce, they call it distribution costs. So the money that they would pay booking engine, an online booking engine now, because most of them are online, uh, they they save that money. Now, when you're big like Google and Expedia and all those, although if I'm a travel agent, and if I go and I book a Southwest flight, I probably get nothing. If I have an affiliate link on my website, I think I make like 80 cents every time somebody books a flight or something like that. If I'm Expedia, I probably get $2, $3 or something like that because it's bulk. And Expedia is giving me a whole bunch of things. Now, when Southwest didn't have their fares in Expedia and didn't have their fares in Google, it means that when you booked a ticket to go from A to B, let's say Houston, Las Vegas, for example, I couldn't see all the fares. I know that Southwest flies there, but if I don't know that Southwest flies there, I don't see it. But Southwest was saving money, so it was okay. But now that they're losing money, according to their financials that they have out, they need to be back in those places so people can see them as a choice when you're going to a particular place. And I'll show you that in a second. So they did that a little while back with Google. Now they're doing it with Expedia because Expedia is quote unquote, not a quote unquote, they're a really big partner and you can book a lot of tickets and stuff like that on there. All right, let me share again. So that hopefully that explained that whole thing. So now they're in Expedia, right? And um, I think that was it. That was probably the gist of all that. So they have Southwest check bags, weight and restrictions apply. Um, Southwest remains committed to core tenets, blah, blah, amazing people who deliver great hospitality. I always hate when airline put all this junk out because you just fired a bunch of people. So please stop that. Forward looking, that's just a normal thing that they put in. These are just normal things that they have to put in these news releases. So the other thing, we talked about the Expedia group and Southwest with their partnership. And we also talked, oh, red eye flights. So This is one other thing that Southwest is doing. They never offered red eye flights before, so which means if you're doing like if you're in Las Vegas, Houston, there is no red eye option. And what's a red eye flight? It's literally a flight that when you get off the plane, your eyes are red because you didn't get any sleep last night. Because the flight left either just before midnight or just after midnight. Now, this was because their computer system didn't have all that, and they didn't think that that was necessary. But the airline you knew as Southwest Airlines from Dallas Love Field is a different airline today. And that's just how it is. So now you have these options. So now they have on Valentine's Day, February 14th this year, 2025, they added Las Vegas, Baltimore, Las Vegas, Orlando, LA to Baltimore, Los Angeles to Nashville, and Phoenix to Baltimore. So if you look in those markets now, you can see red-eye flights that are going from the West Coast to the East Coast, to East Coast cities. And what that does, that allows you, you don't have to do an extra hotel night and leave at 6 a.m. and you have to be up at 4 a.m. anyway. And so especially for Las Vegas, because when I go to Las Vegas, I normally go for conventions, and I end up spending the whole day, check out the hotel in the morning, go to the convention, either leave my bag at the hotel or at the convention and pick it up later and get to the airport and take a red eye home. I don't have to do an extra hotel night. If you were flying Southwest, you didn't have that option. Now it means you have to have more staffing now, right? Because everything is all different because the flights are departing later. So there's additional cost in this. You also have there's different pilot training and things like that. But there's costs associated with that. But you also make money because now you're picking up some of that traffic that was either going to the Deltas, the United, or the Americans, or the Frontiers, or whatever the other airlines are. So now you're picking up a bit of that traffic. So this is just another way for them to make some more money. Now, the other thing they did co-chair. Um, they call it a commercial agreement. Southwest never had any agreement with anybody, pretty much. They would just they're pretty much in their own little silo. Now they are the largest, I think they're the largest domestic US airline. I think that's how it goes. But I know they are the largest 737 operator. Um, and so, I mean they're big. That's very scientific, right? But they didn't really partner with anyone. So there's no code share with Southwest. But now they're doing it with Iceland. So if you're trying to get to Reykjavik, which is in Iceland, you can fly Reykjavik to Houston and you do Reykjavik to like New York and then probably Boston or something. And then you can do Boston to Houston. I don't think they'll do Boston, Houston nonstop, but they might go to Baltimore or something like that. But they're on separate specific markets. Let me just see if they stated the markets here. Blah, 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 blah. And then, so typically you can get from Iceland to Europe because Iceland Air flies there. I don't see the date when they're going to start. Blah, 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 blah. But this is something that they've also, it's beginning in February, so it's already started. I don't know if the flights are in the system, but we can check that. So this is just another way for them to make money. So these are just things that they're doing. And the last piece was taking away the bags. And now people are saying, "Oh, I'm not going to fly Southwest." But like I said, they know where you live. Um, you don't really have a choice, so that you're gonna fly them anyway. So let me look at Google Flights, and I want to show you something. Everyone always thinks that Southwest is the cheapest airline. They're not. I've been doing Houston, Las Vegas I'm just going to do one way, for a long time. And these are the fares that are in the marketplace. Now, normally these like $39 fares, $54 fares, that's not Southwest. That's Spirit and our Frontier. And I'll show you. So if we do a search, let me just pick a date. So tomorrow, for example, at the 15th search. April 15th, tax day. So see that $39 fare, that was Frontier. The $54 fare, that was Southwest. Spirit. Southwest is charging the same fare as United and probably let's see who else is in here. But if 48, there's more Southwest. So see they're doing the same fare as United. So it's not cheaper. The only difference, if you want to say it's cheaper, is that they give you One carry-on bag is included and it's free. Now, this is a basic economy fare. So you can't do a carry-on. So if you wanna, the reason why Southwest, quote unquote, is cheaper is because with United, you can't carry a check bag. You got to pay a little more. So the fare would go up, right? With Southwest, they're giving you two bag free, and with United, you have to pay for that bag. So the fare will be higher once if you're going to carry a bag. But if you're not carrying any bag, the fare is the same. Um, if you have a carry-on, then you have to pay a little more for the carry-on. Because this is probably the basic economy fare. Now, if you go, but see this fare here at a different time, the 255, that's 129. The United flight at the same time is 109 because they're 250, 109, and the Southwest flight at 255 is 129. So that flight is actually $20 more than the United flight, although you don't have the bag thing to deal with. The red eye, which they have and didn't have before, see it has a 9:50 p.m. and you're getting 11:50 p.m. That doesn't look right. Because this is Houston to Las Vegas. So let me flip it and let's do Las Vegas to Houston now. And the fares are pretty much the same. And they should have a red eye. Let's look at some more. 12:59 a.m. That's the United red eye. And the Southwest is at 5:15. Don't see any Southwest red eyes in here. Probably because it's sort by pricing. But if you do it by, let's sort by date. Trying to find the sort thing, which is normally sort by departure time. Okay, so if we sort by departure time, there's a Delta red eye at 12:35, 12:35, 12:40, 12:59. These are all red eyes, 12:59. So the Southwest red eyes must be just before midnight. So let's go all the way down. Here we go. So they're 11:45, 11:45, 11:30. And look, so this Southwest red eye leaves at 11:45 and you arrive 11:30. This one is making a stop somewhere. It stops in Midway. So all of there, I was trying to find a non-stop Southwest, and I don't see one. But look at this price here, though. 11:45, $258, right? And you make one stop in Midway. If I go back up here and look at the American flight is 124. Well, sorry, let's look at the 11. I want to find a similar flight back all the way to the top. If you look at the red eye here, 1250, that's 119 in Delta. Make a stop in Atlanta, 199 and 159. And you get, with Delta, this particular fare, you get the free carry-on. So Southwest is $257 at 12:35. And Delta, you leave at 12:30, I mean at 11:50, 45. Delta, you leave at 12:35, you're getting at 9:18, you make one stop in Atlanta, and it's 119, but you don't get to check a bag, but you do get a carry-on. And if you're checking a bag with Delta, it's like $35 or something like that. So that 119 is still less than was it 200 and something that Southwest had. 258 for that fare. So this is why I'm saying that Southwest doesn't always have the cheapest fare. And there's a shorter flight time. There's 9 hours and 45 minutes. Yes, you get your two bags, but it's 158 as compared to if you add the one bag, 135, 119, plus 35, so that's 144, 154. And there it is 258. So they don't always have the cheapest fare, right? Uh, so that's it for Southwest. The next story is actually about Korean Air. And let me pause for a sec and get a Korean Air picture up. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Korean Air. And behind me there is a Korean Air A380 landing in Los Angeles. And I have a video on the YouTube channel, which I'll put the link somewhere, maybe somewhere over there to the YouTube channel so you can take a look at that video. Um, so here's the thing with this one now. Korean Air, they did a merger thingy with Asiana. Those are the two major airlines in South Korea. There are other airlines, but they're low-cost carriers like Jeju Air, and they fly out of the other airport, which is a local airport in South Korea called Gimpo. Um, but South Korea in I think in 2027 is when. So right now they're running Asiana as a subsidiary of Korean. But in 2027, there's going to be one airline, everybody's going to be called Korean. So instead of Korean Air, it's going to be Korean. Now, I actually like Korean Air. They're a nice airline. I've always had good, excuse me, good service with them. I've never had a bad service on an Asian airline. And I've flown 204 airlines now. And so we can look at can't find a press release on their site, but um, Reuters seem to have something here, so we can use that. So they did a new branding, and it's because of the acquisition why they're doing the branding. The only thing about new branding is, and that's what it'll look like. It it cost a lot of money. Now, granted, they spent 1.3 billion in acquiring Asiana, so they've got the money, right? But branding it takes a long time because they have to repaint the planes. U.S. Airlines that did rebranding and the airplanes are still painting in multiple different colors. Um, and so it's just so weird. I like the old Korean colors, but somebody decided they need to change it, and so this is what the new thing is going to look like. You can let me know what you think about that. And they launched it, I think it was yesterday, March 11th in Seoul. And they did it at the Gimpo Airport, which is a domestic airport. So it says on Tuesday they launched new aircraft livery and corporate branding that will introduce across the company as it combines South Korean rival Asiana. I also flew Asiana and I loved Asiana. Like I said, I've never had a bad experience. Let me give you an Asiana example. It's flying Los Angeles to Seoul, and I had the exit row seat, which is right outside the lab. And I kid you not, every 20 minutes, the flight attendants came by and they checked in the toilet and made sure it was clean. Um, of course, I was bored. It's a long flight. And one point, she came over and I said, it's okay. No one has been in there since you were last here. She goes, okay, thank you. So that's kind of how they are. I was also on a Korean flight. I was flying first class from Manila to Seoul. And I walked on the plane, and the flight attendants were so attentive. They walked me to my seat. They ushered me to my seat. They gave me a slippers, double-handed, because that's kind of how you do things in Asia. And they were just so attentive. Food was good, service was good, and we're landing in Seoul. And this lady at another seat across the way, she rang her call button, and I'm like, "We're landing. Is it an emergency? What do you need?" And there's a little and literally we're landing. And there's a little, conversation between the lady and the flight attendant. And the flight attendant came back and handed her a newspaper. And I was like, really? This is the time that you need it. But she didn't complain. She handed her a newspaper. So the service level is quite different in that part of the world. So it says Seoul largest airline in December. Uh, Sorry, I moved that. They completed the acquisition, and so you're only gonna have one. There won't be any more Asiana. there's just going to be Korean, and it's not Korean Air, it's Korean. And Korean airplanes will now sport the new Korean instead of Korean Air and a larger, modernized, simplified dark blue fans. And the top half of the fuselage will be painted light blue with a new metallic effect. But I don't like the fact that they got rid of that Korean logo, which is really weird. But since 1984, Korean airplanes have had a distinctive sky blue and white bodies and tail decorated with a stylized taegut, a traditional blue and red Korean symbol for the harmony between opposing forces used in the country's flag. That's not going to be there anymore. First plane with the refreshed livery is the 787-10 that they got last year from Boeing, and they're fond of the SkyTeam Alliance. And let's see if there's anything else that make any sense in there. So next thing you fly Korean, well, it'll be a while because then it takes a while for airlines to paint their livery. But the Korean that's flying back there now is going to be different. It's going to be interesting to see what the livery looks like on a Korean A380. I have it. There's another video I think I have with the A380 and the 747-8 because they both fly into Los Angeles at different times. Um, I think that's it. There's a whole bunch of other stuff happening, but these two things are like the major things that happen pretty much this week on what's happening in travel. I am going to try to get these videos out a little more. They are a piece of work because there's a bunch of editing you have to do after you do them, but it's still fun. Um, Trying to think if there's anything else that I did see, but I think those are the two things. So thank you guys for watching. And hopefully I get Cushrow back at some point. He's just busy doing other stuff. And so I'll upload this hopefully today, and then you guys get to take a look. Thank you so much for watching. There's always something going on in aviation. Take care and have a great flight. Talk to you soon.